very interesting over the last couple days to watch students unrelated to the project kind of be curious and wonder what was going on in here, and that's good. Curiosity is one of the best things that you can have, and I hope as an art patron you keep your curiosity and your thoughts open as you come in to view the show. So, water all around us, different issues. National Geographic had a special issue, April issue. It's an amazing issue if you ever have an opportunity to look at it. The entire issue is all dedicated to the world water crisis. Amazing images, things that covered from the United States to globally. And I got a lot of inspiration from that. But some of the things, these are just sort of ideas and thoughts that kind of entered into what became this installation. And I'm going to do this real quick. But so ideas about water, how as people we try to control water, Mother Nature. We try to tell it where to go, and sometimes it doesn't want to go where we want it to. Sometimes it does. Sometimes it does it so well that we create an entire new ecosystem and we destroy another ecosystem where it used to be. People are trying to pipe water across the Midwest to places like Nevada. There's things going on in the country that you may or may not be aware of. But just that idea that we try to control Mother Nature, and we have the extremes of needing water and then having floods that, what's the first thing they always ask for when a flood happens? We need water for people to drink, because it's without water, you can't live without water for a very few days, 3 or 4 days. And ironically, the idea of passing away from lack of water, you actually have the experience of drowning. So it's sort of this interesting thing that comes back to itself. These are two different, this is after up above, this is what was an outlet for the Colorado River. And in both cases you're seeing boats that are just sitting on barren land. These beautiful images that you probably frequently see when you're flying overhead, going out west, or coming back from the west coast. Beautiful forms, and this will hit you when you walk in the door. This image will relate. But this first piece in the gallery relates to some things relevant to the aquifer that is beneath most of Nebraska and 8 other states in the Midwest, and just the challenges that are starting to already occur with its water levels dropping and not being recharged fast enough. This is sort of a view of that. And actually in that National Geographic, there was this great image of the above ground area where the irrigation is going on for farming, and it showed the subterranean view of all these wells that are being drilled and water being tapped out just like little straws, sucking the water out of down below. Compounds that get into our drinking water possibly. There's hundreds of things that we could think of chemically, but this is one I kind of focus on relevant to the Midwest and farming. These are charts that explain sort of the hot spots of people may be affected with their drinking water. It doesn't dissolve in water. Actually, this summer, a town in Missouri, people had to stop drinking their water for a couple of days because the farmer on the edge of the lake where they draw their drinking water from used atrazine, and it basically washed down into the water. You can't boil it out. You can't do anything to dissipate it. So this is actually the compound itself, and again, you're going to see something very familiar in the gallery. But it's actually banned in Europe. It has been known to cause issues with certain wildlife, say frogs. It'll actually chemically castrate male frogs, and they'll mate with other male frogs and produce a male frog offspring, so it kind of dies out the species. So if that's happening to that kind of, on that level, what could it be possibly doing on ours? So you start thinking about drinking water supplies, and as I drive, as I do from Kansas City to I-29 corridor, you see all the small town water towers. Here's some great ones. The UFO is one of my favorite, the smiley face. The Sapp brothers in Nebraska City. And then advertisements for water, bottled water. It's grown exponentially in the last eight years or so in the United States. Jennifer Aniston, the poster girl for Smart Water. These are some really interesting, just the idea that the allure of trying to sell water in the ads and how they speak to you, the most important body of water is your own. How they try to get you to buy water. And, in the United States, I think of water as, I believe of it as a sense of convenience. We don't really at least I take for granted that the water is always going to come out of the tap. And, you know, in other parts of the world, that's not always for certain. So these are just some advertisements for bottled water. Very little to do with the water, but and Bling is known to have some of the most expensive water. They sell a bottle that's $2,600. It's called the Dubai Collection. It's hand-laid Swarovski crystals over the entire surface of the bottle. So it's more about the image and about the glass in the bottle and the beauty of that than really actually what's inside of it. And then just elaborate things like, you know, showers that shoot out ridiculous amounts of water. A 5-minute shower is the amount of water that most people in a third world country will have for their daily consumption as a family, not just as one individual. But and then lastly, just, you know, comparing and contrasting our sense of luxury with water and, you know, a third world country where on a daily basis water is just something that is it's for survival. And you know, bags of water are used. People drink directly out of the bags. They buy them on the street, and they may not have a choice to actually get water that's dirty from a well. And then just some of these images that kind of inspired me, just seeing these amazing images of people gathered trying to get water for themselves, a meal drinking alongside the people getting water for themselves. And the women that take this long walk every day, you know, for the rest of their life, from childhood till they're too old to walk, basically going 2 and 3 times a day for many miles and carrying roughly, on average, they say a 40-pound container of water on their back or on their head. So what if they didn't have to do that? What if your day didn't have to be spent getting water? What could you do with it? What could you accomplish for yourself and for your family? Seeing a lot of images of these containers, they kind of become people to me. And seeing the rows of them waiting just as the people are waiting. So I'm happy to answer a question or two. I just wanted to show you some things or what I think about. It's like an open-ended thought process of me just sort of putting that out to you. There's a lot more to what is going on than what I've just told you. That's sort of a real tiny nutshell. So I'm happy to answer a question or two before we open the gates, but otherwise I will be here and be happy to talk with you. So thank you all for coming, and I hope you enjoy the show and have a good time.